What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 268 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Deej coming at you with a very fun show this week. We got a lot to dive into, from the NLL, more PLL free agency stuff. We have a first of its kind lacrosse news thing to talk about. And we're gonna tease some stuff because, as the great Pat McAfee, Deej, who sometimes talks about lacrosse, shout out to Boston Connor, we are officially up to something. It's hashtag up to something season.
I'm here for it. We're up to something.
That's very exciting. Deej will have his college rundown at the end of the show, as we always do, which I do have things to contribute to for that as well. Not in terms of my recruitment tour, but I just have a take.
Okay.
It's a good take.
Maybe.
And I was just thinking of this too, Deej, but before we get into all of it, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast, guys. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Leave a 5-star review. It really does go a long way for helping the show continue to grow, helps more people find OTB and Underground Sports, and it helps us do really cool shit that we really want to do, because we got a lot of stuff that Deej and I are planning behind the scenes that we want to hopefully pull off and make happen. And it all starts with you guys subscribing to the podcast feed, because it helps the show continue to go to the moon, and that's where we want to take it. So go subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and also go subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's a massive way to help support the show. Go subscribe, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, because I forget if I brought it up last week on this show. I filled in on Top Bins this past week with Dom, and he brought up a great point. You should, when you guys subscribe, or if you're already subscribed, you should have that bell icon clicked and ringing, because we have 6 podcasts every single week going out on our YouTube channel. You're not going to want to miss the content. And when you click the bell icon, you get a notification immediately as soon as the video gets published. And then your YouTube algorithm starts playing Underground Sports Philadelphia content, because between OTB, the flagship Philly sports podcast, Underground Sports Philadelphia, our F1 podcast, F1 Underground, Get in the Hole, which is coming up on 100 episodes. Shout out to the boys. Streamer season, Top Bins. We're going to Pits on Parade in the next couple of weeks, episode 1. There's tons of content on our YouTube channel, so go subscribe. We are currently, Deej, as we are recording this, 422 subscribers. We're on that road to 450, 500, and 1,000, obviously. 1,000's the big milestone that we definitely need to hit very, very soon. So go subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And big shout out to our amazing merch partners who help make this show happen. PHI Apparel Company, the best in the game. You guys can go to phiapparel.co. Check out all of the merch they have available. If you're a Philly sports fan, it's the place to go, and it's the place to get official Outside the Box podcast merch. Logo shirt, hoodie. I'm ordering my hoodie in the next couple of weeks because I got to bring that thing on the road with us. And you're gonna look the best of fandom at your favorite NLL games, your PLL games, college games, or even just hanging out with the boys. Use it as a shooting shirt or a shooting hoodie. phiapparel.co, code underground at checkout. Make sure you use that code. You get 10% off any and all merch. Go stand out in the crowd. Have a conversation piece on your chest with the Outside the Box podcast merch. phiapparel.co. Use code underground for 10% off your order. Deej, what's poppin', brother? We are going to break the fourth wall here. We're recording early in the week because you're going away this week. I'm going away this week. So it just worked out perfectly for us to record early. But what's poppin'?
Dude, I'm getting ready to dive deep into coaching. I'm excited for this. This is
The
spring break
return of
this
Coach
week.
Deej.
Yeah, Coach Deej is back, and we're in full effect this year. This is spring break, so giving the boys some time. But I also have an assistant coach, like I mentioned, this year. So I was able to give myself and him some time off. So we alternated days this week. I took Monday, Wednesday. He's taking Tuesday, Thursday. So that way we can get some time off. I'm heading to Syracuse this weekend for some frat business, but I believe I'm going to be able to sneak away for Syracuse's senior day against Notre Dame at 1 p.m. at the JMA Wireless Dome. So
DG Vlogs?
I might just have to vlog that. And if you're going to be there, I'll let your boy. If I make it there, keep a look on the
That's
social.
why they got to follow you on Twitter.
Got to follow me on Twitter because I'm going to let you know if I'm going to be there. I'm going to let you know if I'm not going to be there. Because I'm going to say, man,
You'll just tweet the Magic Johnson video.
the
I'm not going to be here.
And then I'm going to follow that up with another tweet that says, man, I'm really upset that I'm watching this on TV right now. When I could be watching this right down the road at the JMA Wireless Dome. But no, yeah, I got a new fit for this year. We got some quarter zips and a nice hat, sunglass combo. So I'm excited, man. The 25 boys out, they're balling hard. Like we're taking the right steps. And the radio's going well too. We're giving away more Wiz Khalifa tickets for the next 2 weeks. And I'm probably going to do my first phone contest. We're getting the whole studio line figured out, and I just need to get the phone number so I can
DG hotlines.
Memorize it and test it, and then roll out and give away one pair to the lucky seventh caller during the 5 p.m. hour. Going to see Wiz Khalifa in Kalamazoo. I'm so excited for that concert.
That's wild. My pre-rundown thoughts. This hit me after we stopped recording last week because we talked about the Hall of Fame class getting announced. And then if you're in the Philadelphia area, make sure you're following the main pod and the network on social media because we just announced our live tailgate podcast. We'll be announcing the next Underground Sports Philadelphia Hall of Fame class at the live pod. All the details on our social, Twitter and Instagram at UndergroundPHI. I feel like OTB's been going for long enough that we need to divulge and have some sort of Hall of Fame. Not sure if we call it that, but something where like we've built up quite a history on this show.
OTB's Inside the Box.
You get inducted inside the box.
Yeah.
We'll figure.
We'll have to brainstorm this.
But I feel like it needs to happen.
Yeah,
we have so much that has happened, and then like I feel like we limit it to like a like maybe you pick something every year, I pick something every year, and then the listeners pick something every year. Something like that. Let us know in the comment section.
Or maybe like 2, 2, and 1, so it's like 5. 5
yeah,
a class.
Something.
We both pick 2.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be 5 every year.
Right.
But let us know in the comment section, like, potential names for that. to call it, and if you guys are down for that, because I feel like that would be fun to. And then I don't know if we do it on like our actual pod anniversary, or if we pick like a day that is like synonymous with the pod or something like that, or like it happens like at a weekend that is like synonymous with the pod for the PLL.
I'm so upset about. I was just talking about not being able to make it to Baltimore this year.
Do you want to be even more upset about that?
No.
So CFO Margie's coming that weekend.
Oh.
She's scratched that PLL itch going to the championship series, and she wants to go to an actual PLL weekend. So she's gonna come to Baltimore because Baltimore's one of her favorite places to go. But you and I obviously went to Fenway last year when we were in Boston, and we were looking to see if the Red Sox were home again. Unfortunately, they are not. But the Orioles are home Baltimore weekend. But wait,
bro, stop.
It gets better in terms for me.
No,
because
stop talking.
The Orioles play the Mets that weekend.
Oh. This is, you know, Town Square. One day, you're gonna have to meet me inside the box. We should title this episode "Inside the Box."
New podcast. Total rebrand.
Oh my
The most
God.
generic name ever.
This is why we don't record on Tuesday.
But yeah, let us know in the comment section what you think, like an OTB, for lack of a better term, like Hall of Fame, should be called. Or if we should just call it the OTB Hall of Fame. Like, let us know in the comment section on YouTube, because we will read those. Leave it as an Apple Podcast review. So yeah, that just popped into my mind after we stopped recording last week when we were talking about Hall of Fames and stuff. Deej, let's dive into our Week 17 of the NLL recap. For lack of a better term, what a fucking terrible week for your boy in picks. Gonna have to dig myself out of a hole these next, whatever it is, 5 weeks. This is what happened in the NLL in Week 17. San Diego just stomps on Panther City at home, 17-9. Toronto hangs on and clinches a postseason spot, wins 11-9 against Albany. Halifax beats Philly 14-10. We'll get into that game because that game lit social media ablaze with just a unbelievably absurd NLL rule that I think we need to make like a change.org petition to get that rule changed. Because you know it's bad. Here's how I knew that call was bad and that rule is bad. When Teddy Jenner is saying that it's terrible, you know it's bad. Because Teddy knows ball, and knows ball in terms of NLL rules and everything, even more than we do. So when I saw Teddy was doing, because like we were up in the press box in that game, and we'll dive into it hardcore in a little bit. But I was up in the press. We were all like, what is happening? And then I saw Teddy's tweet, and I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. Georgia, Lyle Thompson saw that you picked the Riptide. Deej took that personally. They win 13-8. Calgary beats Saskatchewan 14-6. Buffalo in overtime in what I believe is the lowest scoring game of the year, which is kind of surprising. But shout out to the defenses and the goalies in this one. Buffalo wins in overtime in another controversial game, 7-6 over San Diego. Vancouver stuns Colorado 14-12, and Las Vegas stuns Roch Vegas 12-7. This is what your standings look like after Week 17. Buffalo and Toronto both have clinched playoff spots. Buffalo's at 11-3, Toronto's at 11-4. Rochester's fallen off a little bit now. They're 9-5. Halifax at 7-7, kind of firmly in that 4 spot as of now. Things can still obviously change there. There's still tons of stuff that's going to change over the next 5 weeks all over the place in the NLL, both East and West. But Halifax in that 4 seed. The Wings are on the outside looking in at 6-8. Georgia is 4-8. The Riptide are 4-10, and the Albany Firewolves are sitting in the basement of the East at 2-11. And then San Diego in the West on top at 10-3. Calgary 10-4. Panther City at 8-6. Colorado at 6-7. Saskatchewan at 5-8, as well as the Desert Dogs being at 5-8, and then Vancouver at 4-10. I did see a tweet, I think it was from Graham Parrow, that there's still a possibility, Deej, that we could have an NLL finals this year of the Georgia Swarm and the Vancouver Warriors. Like, that is not mathematically out of the question yet. It's still a possibility. How great, like, one, that's cool for league parity that, like, that could happen, but it's gross that 2 4-10 teams are still alive.
I'd boycott the league. Ain't no way they gonna let that happen.
Oh, man.
You know how painstakingly hard it would be to watch Georgia, Vancouver play 3 times? Because you know they're going to split.
And you know how terrible it would be for us.
First off, you know they're going to split.
And you know how bad it would be? Because one would be East Coast, and then we'd have to have like a fucking 10:30 first face-off in Vancouver.
And it's got to be hopefully it's a Saturday.
Hopefully, no offense, but hopefully those 2 teams get eliminated in the coming weeks, so we don't have to even like think about that.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
Hutton tweeted like the gambling odds of a parlay of those 2 making it to the finals, and it's like if you bet $1, you win like I think
you win like 220 grand or something.
Yeah,
like
it's ridiculous.
It's literally ridiculous. Maybe I'll bet
$1.
That's a bet I could get behind.
Do you want me to take the floor with this refereeing issue we have in the NLL over the past month or so?
Oh, absolutely, because you are pretty hot about it. I've been working on tempering my feelings about officiating with the new season
to prepare
coming up.
For the season.
I've been.
This is your chance to get it all out, though.
I'm trying not to get any penalties this year. That's my goal. So
I think new season means we get a penalty counter.
Yeah, we do. And the problem is, I think letting all of it out now is only going to tempt me to keep doing it later. So if I can keep being like, well, they're human. They can't see everything. They make mistakes. Then it'll translate. And I'll be better than this.
I don't have to worry about that. So fuck these refs. And this has become a thing just across sports, and like you and I have agreed on it a number of times in the NFL. I had to deal with it. Granted, it was spring training, and it was fucking hilarious that it happened. I'm sure you saw the clip of JT Realmuto. With the ump throwing him out of the game. The NLL, though, over the last month or so, has had a huge issue with referees. And what I mean by that is there have been so many suspect calls, and the fact that week in and week out I have gone to post-game press conferences with Paul Day, friend of the program, our guy, who's been involved in the NLL for 3 decades, and on a number of occasions this year has said he's never seen a referee call X penalty, X goal, X non-goal ever in his career. That's a problem. When you have somebody who has been around the block that long, and has experienced so much in this league, we need to start making referees accountable for their actions. And this is in every sport. Granted, we're talking about the NLL specifically, and having seen a bunch of this with my own two eyes, and apparently I was asleep for it because I was just exhausted this weekend, but I saw Diggs tweeting about it, and I saw a number of Seals fans that I follow on Twitter tweeting about it, that the refereeing in the Buffalo-San Diego game was just as bad. Like, how we don't have in every sport, like, at least the NFL has, like, the pool reporter go and get, like, answers from the refs. The fact that we don't have that in every sport blows my mind. And the fact that referees just get to go away scot-free and come back the next week with no penalty on them, no punishment, no nothing, is ridiculous. That play in the Philadelphia Wings Halifax Thunderbirds game that was ruled a goal. Granted, yes, it's in the rule book and it's a dumb rule, so eliminate it. Like, why that's a rule is crazy to me. But nobody knows that that's a rule, and nobody in the arena that's a fan knows that's a rule. So when they see that go down, that's just bad reffing. And everyone's confused by it. You'll see it here now if you're watching on YouTube or if you're just listening. We got Paul Day's answer on it. He said he had never seen anything like that in his 30 years in the NLL or in any sport that he's been around. I just truly don't understand why referees, it's like you can't touch them. Like, they're like these like holier than thou humans that this isn't even their full-time job, but for some reason, like, they can't be questioned. They can't, like, have anything said poorly about them. And then if they screw up, it's like, oh, accidents happen, mistakes happen. I just truly don't get it. Whoops. It's like Lakitu from Mario Kart in his little cloud with his fishing pole, just throwing bananas out on the Mario Kart course, and you just happen to hit it. It's like, whoops, sorry, you lost the race.
Oh,
that's what referees are in sports.
Not you lost the race.
It's crazy, bro.
I mean, it's gotten bad across all sports.
And it's been exponentially on display in the NLL, I'd say, over the last month and a half. And I don't know if it's just coincidence, I'm sure, but the last 3 Wings games I've been to, there's been at least one, like, what the fuck type of play.
Yeah, I think it's just gotten to a point to where referees are just almost feel like they pick and choose what to call.
Right.
And when to call it. And, like, that's, like, not what officiating is.
Or they're making it about them. Nobody's there to see your zebra stripes.
Not even the guys who dressed up as stripes.
Literally, they're some of my favorite fans at the Wings games.
Oh, yeah. No matter where they are. Those are good fans.
Because that type of play there, and you saw the play, obviously, and everything that divulged from it, like, that swung momentum in the game completely in Halifax's favor. Instead of it being 2-1, it's now 3-1, and it's taking forever to, like, figure out what the call is going to be. And then Paul Day challenges, rightfully so, because it's like, what the hell are you doing? And then everything just swings in Halifax's favor from there on out. And even going back to the week prior when they played Georgia, in the second half, Georgia had 3 power plays. The Wings had 0. When there were multiple instances where the Wings were getting fouled, like there were clear penalties that just were not being called on the Wings. But if you, like, blew the slightest of air on a Georgia Swarm player, it was a penalty.
Protect Lyle.
It wasn't even like stuff on Lyle either. It was crazy.
Not at all. They don't call anything for him.
And then the same thing this past week too. Like, I get down with a lot of the people from the Halifax Thunderbirds, both, that work for them and guys on the team. Some of those boys, man, I was like, come on. You got to stop acting like a whiny baby. Like, they would be clearly committing a foul, bro, and they would just be like, "What? I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. It wasn't me."
Okay.
And then but no.
You just don't get it because you're not a player. Like,
But no. Here's the thing. The ref would then like do something, and then they would just like have the biggest temper tantrum. And it's like, bro, you clearly committed a foul. Just take it and wear it.
Not how it works, bro.
It is how it works. It's just they choose not to let it work that way.
No. You got to complain. That's part of the game. That's part of the game.
That's why Wings fans.
Nobody's ever. Okay, I shouldn't say ever, but like only 5% of the time do people go, "Yep." Okay. Anytime you get a penalty, you just go, "No, that's not me. I didn't do it."
This is why Wings fans, and I've heard it in a number of other arenas as well from other fans, this is why when opposing players commit a penalty and they're complaining, you get a raucous, get in the box, bitch.
I mean, yeah, and it's fine. It's fine. That's acceptable as well. Like, that's the other side of the token. When you complain, they're going to tell you to fucking suck it up.
But some plays I've seen throughout my time covering the Wings specifically, just being at the games and everything, I'm like, okay, I can see like you making an argument. Some of these this past weekend, I was like, come on, pal. Come on. Like, you done goofed.
Right.
Sit your ass down.
Yeah. And then the makeup calls.
Just like,
makeup calls are just as bad.
Ugh. The reffing the past 3 games at the Wells Fargo Center has been atrocious. I didn't specifically see what the call was. Did you see the San Diego issue that happened in that Buffalo game? That
I did not. I missed that part of the game. But just overall, it was not good.
Yeah.
I think
something needs to be done.
I think that partially played into the flow of the game, how the game was played, how offenses were able to get everything going with them. It's especially for offenses, it's huge, like how you start the game and like the momentum you get throughout the game. Like, but the officiating really stumped a lot of momentum, just both sides throughout the game. The only ones who really had a consistent rhythm of anything were the goalies, just because of how things are ran. So I can't speak exactly on the situation specific, like the specific play that they're referencing, but overall, the officiating in the game was bad for I think the 2.5 quarters I ended up watching at the time.
And like, I feel like it in the NLL, being around the league for the last 5 years, it's never really been that bad in terms of like calls. Like 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, the calls that are being made, like, they make sense. But this year, for some reason, and I don't get it either, too. I don't know if it's just like a localization thing or where these refs are located. You would think, like, because in every other sport, the officials travel. They move around to different cities and everything every week. I feel like the last 2 months at the Wings games, it's been the same fucking refs over and over and over again. And it's like, can we switch this up a little bit? Because, like, you're starting to see a trend now when everybody recognizes who the refs are.
Right. And
it's kind of hard to differentiate your refs when one of your head refs has full tattoo, like, quarter sleeve.
And it's just like I think the refs start to feel some things too. They don't forget what guys said to them. They don't forget, the cheap shot a guy did last week. Like, they start to remember those things and think, and then put this preconceived notion. So now a slightly dirty play or play outside the rules that they normally would let slide, they're now going to call it because this guy called him a dipshit last week. Like, bro, get over it. It's a whole new week. It's been 7 the whole days, dude.
If not a little more.
Literally, like, stop it.
Get some help.
So you get some help. So, yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think they should be moving around.
The other thing I have to address with the Wings, and I've been told I'm crazy for this, but I think you agree with me on this. I'm gonna preface this take here. I love Tate Katoni. I think he's a talented player. I think he fits in with this Wings team flawlessly, and I'm glad he's here. But my God, do the Wings miss Matt Rambo being out there. This injury that he sustained, I don't know when, that has kept him out of the last 3 games. Matt Rambo's just presence on the floor in terms of he's a bigger body than Tate. He's more physical than Tate. Tate is more of a speed, shoot-first mentality guy, is much better on the power play because he's shoot-first mentality. Rambo can assist. He's a passer. They miss Matt Rambo's presence on the floor so fucking much. And it shows. It's shown so much since... I forget if he played in that road Riptide game or not, but that Georgia game, that Rochester game, even though they won it, like it took overtime and it was a low-scoring game, and this past week against Halifax, like they missed Matt Rambo, and I hope he's getting healthy and hope he's back, for this game against Rochester, hopefully, because my God, man, they need him back so badly.
They do, like they're really bad. I think Blaze is taking a step back because he hasn't been out there with the flow that Rambo has in the offense due to being there for a couple of years, guys knowing what he likes to do. He knows what other guys like to do. He draws attention because of who he is in the field game, and guys already know him. So he just provides a different spark to the offense and a different option. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's just you have to play differently without him out there, and they're still adjusting to that.
And it's just let teams focus in on one of the big 3 scores that the Wings have between Mitch Jones, Ben McIntosh, or Joey Rez, and just lets their defense hone in on one of those guys and just be like, okay, we're gonna shut this guy down this week, and we're gonna let the other 2 guys do their thing, but we're not gonna let these 3 beat us. All 3 of them beat us. And when Rambo's out there, it spreads the floor open more, and then, like you said, draws more attention from other defenders to then allow guys like Joe Resetarits to get those, tough angled shots off. It allows Ben McIntosh to go in and, get those up close and personal goals that he is known for. It lets Mitch Jones just be Mitch Jones. And it's not that those guys have been bad. It's just you can tell the spreading of the ball around takes a significant hit when your replacement for Matt Rambo is Tate Katoni, who is a shoot-first guy. He's a guy that you're wanting the ball to get dished to for him to then go score, where Rambo is a guy who can do both.
Yeah, they provide different things for your offense. You can't replace Matt Rambo. You just have to do your best to adjust without him. I just don't think the Wings have done a good job of adjusting without him.
So we'll see what happens for the Wingies this week. Sunday night lacrosse at the Wells Fargo Center for the final home game of the 2022-2023 season, which it all comes to an end way too quickly. Anything else stand out to you, Deej, from Week 17 before we keep it pushing?
Riptide broke my heart. Y'all look so good last couple of weeks. I'm hopping back on the coattails, riding you guys against my boy.
House divided.
And you did not come through. That hurt. That hurt. I don't know how I'm feeling for this week. We may have to talk about that later, what I'm going to do with that. But I was not happy with that result. Las Vegas looked really good against Rochester.
That was going to be my last thing. We should have known Las Vegas was going to win because they were wearing their Tucker Out lymphoma jerseys. And when Dad's the coach and GM,
Yeah,
We should have known that's on us.
that was a dropped bag.
That's
That
on
was a
us.
dropped bag. I should have been 6-2 last week. Dropped bag.
Should have been 500
Dropped
last
bag.
week.
I've been popping off.
That's on us.
I'm like 20-some games over 500. I feel good.
We're
in a
both
good vibe
we're
bag.
both even with my bad week. We're both in good spots from where we were last year.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
we're
insane.
much better. Yeah, because we were good last year. This year, I'm a motherfucking star. Look at the paint on my car. No, actually, please don't lift the paint on my car.
I felt that in my soul.
Please don't lift the
Did
paint
you
on
know
my car.
how people can prevent looking at the paint on our car?
Feeding ducks?
Nah, they put their hater shades on. Tomahawk shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Before we get into your state of the fandom,
Oh
the
yeah.
best. Tomahawk shades. Deej wears them on the sidelines every single week while he's coaching, and every single practice, before the sun goes down. And we're wearing those blue light glasses too, and we're sitting in our computer screens watching these NLL games, staring at our phones, cutting clips for the people. Tomahawk shades is the best. They've been with us since 2020, right in the heat of a global panorama. So shout out to them for being the best in the game. You guys can go to tomahawkshades.com, use promo code USP for 25% off your order. They're already a fraction of the price of the big overcharging brands, and they are a better quality than them at a fraction of the price. And we're giving you a fraction of that fraction with promo code USP. You get 25% off at tomahawkshades.com. Shout out to the best in the game, tomahawkshades.com, for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. Deej, your state of the fandom, brought to you by Tomahawk Shades. After week 17, I'm going to just take a guess that you are not going to be a fan of the Zebras anytime soon.
They lost my respect back in elementary school when I first started playing sports. I've never been a Zebra fan. They didn't even.
The only zebra I like is Marty from Madagascar.
Okay, say it again for those in the back.
Marty from Madagascar. The only zebra we get down with.
Yeah, I've never been a Zebra fan. They didn't even get a seat at the table, or they didn't get an invite, phone call, none of that. No consideration. But I think everybody's pretty safe. Dropping the bomb that both 4 and 10 squads, which are not safe to me, can still get into the playoffs. It's hard to kick anybody out hearing something like that. It's so just there. Everybody can grab it. So I don't want to push anybody out, but I did say they need to at least make the playoffs. So we're starting to get to that point where teams are going to push themselves out since they can't win games when it matters.
Yeah. And before we get into our Week 18 preview, we did have news come out this week that seems like a first of its kind. An NIL deal in the National Lacrosse League. So Panther City Lacrosse Club signed former Navy lacrosse player and current TCU football linebacker Johnny Hodges to an NIL deal. You and I were talking, and we were talking to our guy Stephen McAvoy, who writes for the NIL deal, as well as hosting the Get in the Hole podcast here on our network, about this. And Steve's going to be writing an article for the NIL deal on Johnny. This feels like a first. I couldn't remember, you couldn't remember anything in terms of a pro lacrosse NIL deal. You and I both had mentioned we saw minor league baseball when NIL first started popping. But first of its kind type of situation from what we know. If it's not, we stand corrected. But Johnny Hodges, he transferred from Navy to TCU in 2022. He was named the Big 12 Defensive Newcomer of the Year, and he was a second-team All-Big 12 selection at linebacker. So he signed this NIL deal with Panther City. where he will work to expand Panther City's footprint in Fort Worth, and he's going to be at Dickies Arena this Saturday for pregame autographs at 6:15 p.m. local time. Um, Pretty cool, in my opinion. It's almost like a team ambassador type thing, but at the college level, and he's getting an NIL deal for it. I feel like this could be the start of something with every team almost, and I think more specifically with the teams in markets like Panther City that are like newer to the sport or trying to grow the sport of lacrosse in their area more so than some of the hotbeds. But I feel like this is such a smart move by Panther City to do. It's a guy who is, very connected with the Fort Worth area from playing for TCU, and we all know how, any level of football is perceived in Texas. So to have somebody with that connection be your NIL almost ambassador, if you will, is a really smart move in my opinion. I think this is a super cool thing for Panther City to be doing and getting at the forefront of it to help draw more attention to their team. What are your thoughts on Johnny Hodges?
I think it's weird that the first lacrosse NIL deal of this magnitude is for a football player, but it makes sense. That's where a lot of money is, where a lot of eyeballs is. It's smart strategy, in my opinion, to get just more eyes in front of lacrosse in general. He's now playing on a national contender. Air quotes around that because we don't know what they're going to look like this year, but they did just come off of an appearance in the national championship game. So people know who he is. They know what school he goes to. And then it's football in Texas, like you mentioned. Their high school stadiums, their high school championship games are 80,000 people, 90,000 people. It's a high school championship game for football. So yeah, of course they're going to come and support this guy. And if you can get them on board with lacrosse, it's only the beginning of a long scale that needs to be tipped and evened out. But it's a good start.
And he was going to play lacrosse at Navy. He was a freshman in 2020, but obviously their season was canceled due to the panorama. And then he transferred to TCU and rediscovered his love of football, but still very involved with lacrosse. He was a 3-sport varsity athlete in high school. So very talented athlete. He was at practice or at the arena the other day with the photos that Panther City tweeted out with everything. But I think this is so smart, and I think teams like I think San Diego could be a huge benefit of something like this if they wanted to dive into it. No pun intended there. I think Georgia would be smart to do it. I just don't know how it would work with the Canadian teams. I don't know how NIL works with that, if it's different just because of Canada.
I would assume they've already gotten a workaround for that with so many hockey players being Canadian. I would assume they're going to want to support some, or I shouldn't say support, but sponsor and get sponsored by things back home so people back home can more adequately support.
I think Georgia would be smart. Albany would be smart to do this. Cough, cough, wink, wink. Albany, do this. I think even the Riptide would be very smart.
I was just going to say,
even in a hotbed like Long Island,
let's say they're probably the only hotbed I would suggest right now.
It would be so smart for them to do it. I mean, Philadelphia has the access with college lacrosse players specifically to do something like this with the Drexels, with the St. Joe's, Villanova, schools like that, Penn State even, they just have a huge pool if they wanted to do something like this, and I think the Wings would be, they'd be able to flawlessly execute it just with how they do this kind of off-the-floor type of stuff. I think Rochester would be smart to do this. I think even in a hotbed with it being a new iteration of the Nighthawks, I think it would be smart for them to do it. But I think Panther City getting out in front of this and kind of showcasing to the league, hey, go get yourself basically a team ambassador at the collegiate level. You're going to bring in a huge demographic of that college, age demo with somebody like this. very, very job well done there by everybody involved with Panther City to get this done. I would love to have Johnny on the show. I'm going to try to reach out to him and see what we can work out there. But job well done, and I think it's a super smart endeavor by Panther City. So good on them. Week 18 is here, Deej. Week 18. Kind of a strange week in terms of matchups. These are the matchups we have. Friday, we've got 3 games. Running it back. New York at Georgia. Las Vegas at Colorado. And then Calgary at San Diego, which is one of my personal favorite games of the weekend. Then on Saturday, April Fool's Day, Buffalo at Toronto for the top seed in the East. We've got Albany at Panther City. Vancouver at Saskatchewan. And then on Sunday, we've got 2 games. We've got afternoon and evening. At 1 o'clock, we've got Georgia at Halifax. And then at 6 o'clock, we've got Rochester at Philadelphia for the final home game in Philly this season. Anything stand out to you in particular that you're looking forward to watching? Obviously, I think we both agree that Calgary, San Diego, Buffalo, Toronto are must watch. But anything else you're kind of looking forward to this week?
Obviously Friday night middle game, Riptide, Georgia.
They're actually the first game.
Okay.
Because they're 7.
I couldn't
7
remember.
o'clock.
I thought they would have been first, but didn't know. Something stuck in front of them. But
Vegas, Colorado's at 9.
Which that one's also probably going to be pretty. I don't know, because Mammoth haven't been consistent, and their last game was pretty exciting. So this one might be a little. They've been very flip floppy, but yeah, the Georgia Riptide game. I always, like I mentioned, every time this happens, the back to back right away. Everything's still being so fresh. It really plays a difference in how teams play, and they're still a little angry, I would assume. Still thinking about some of the small mistakes they made, and Georgia might be riding a high of looking very good in the past few weeks. So that one's going to be one to keep an eye on. Is Georgia going to be able to keep this momentum going and really make this playoff push as 4-10, which is bananas, or are they going to end up doing the same and conceding their fate?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 2 games we mentioned. I think Vegas, Colorado could be frisky. Rochester, Philly, Part 2 is a massive game for both of these teams once again. Kind of must-wins for both. So I'm excited that I'll be there for that game, obviously. I really want to see Panther City put together a game, even though they're playing Albany. This is such an important game because you're playing a team that's dead in the water. Like, it's very visibly clear that they are tanking and just ready for the season to be over, which in my opinion puts so much more pressure on Panther City to go out and perform and win to stay where they are in the playoff chase, because right now Calgary and San Diego, like that Calgary-San Diego game too, is for first place in the West. So we have a first place in the West, first place in the East showdown in one weekend. But Panther City's trying to stay in that third place spot at 8-6, because Colorado, even though they're 6-7, they're only 1 game back in the loss column. So Panther City's got to go out and win the games that they're supposed to win, so that they can get into the postseason in year 2 and for the first time in franchise history.
Well, I'm excited to see. It's just so tough with what they have over there, because they have a lot of very good pieces, but they hit this internal wall where, which Callum has been a very good help in that, but now I don't know how that's going to work after losing Liam. They hit this wall where they don't know because they haven't been there before. And Callum has been a big help in getting guys calmed down, getting them to continue to do the things they're doing, getting them to like wrap their head around the situation because he has been there before so many times. But I think Liam was also a big part of that because Liam's been that way in every facet. And now without him moving over to Philadelphia, I feel like that's a big hit to their defensive side in that standpoint. They don't really have that veteran leader there anymore to like wrangle in the defense and be like, hey, I know they scored a couple. Things are, going like this. Everything's frantic, but just breathe. Let's reel it back in. Remember what, our game plan was and let's execute it. But like he's not there to do that anymore. So that's my biggest thing with them is adjusting to one, Callum Crawford taking over really as like the sole, veteran leader. And then two, and in the same point, losing, a veteran leader on the defensive side, Liam Burns.
Yeah. Panther City's like that team that we've just been dialed in on all season. I also think like it's so funny that last week we brought up, Donville and Malcolm have had this phenomenal season, both of them respectfully. And it's like it's made you forget about Patrick Dodds, and then Patrick Dodds had, I think 2 or 3 goals this past weekend, which was very funny. Talk about somebody who probably listens to the pod. Trying to think of what I was going to say. There's one other thing I was going to bring up with Panther City. Oh, did you see the kid?
I'm not in your head, so I don't know.
Did you see the kid at their game last week who asked Donville for his sock?
I did not. That's nasty.
He got Damude's goalie stickhead, and then the kid had a sign literally said, "Hey Donville, can I have your sock?"
That's nasty. That's not. I really hope he said no.
Like, that's so gross. Socks got to be top 3 worst thing a fan could ask for from a lacrosse player.
You say top 3 things?
My brain immediately thought, thinking like post game too. Sock, no particular order. Mouthpiece, like your mouth guard, that's foul. And then, I mean, I hope nobody in their right mind has the gall to ask somebody for their cup. But it wouldn't surprise me.
I mean,
these kids be crazy these days.
They are, in fact, nuts. Nuts.
Well, Deej, from nuts to a little bit of bread, let's make our way to the pick pond.
For the Ducks.
Feed some ducks and get into our Week 18 picks of the week in the NLL, powered by our good friends over at Trophy Smack. Guys, there's no better way to upgrade your fantasy smack talk than with the homies over at Trophy Smack. They've got belts, trophies, metal wall art. They've got last place trophies for your fantasy league. They've got rings. There's no better way to do it. I would love to get Trophy Smack in on our pick segment. Get us a belt, get us a ring, a trophy, something like that. We're going to try to work with them to get something cool for the picks. But I'm sure you guys are playing fantasy lacrosse with your friends, with your family. Go get a trophy for your league with our friends at Trophy Smack. Go to trophysmack.com/underground and start upgrading your fantasy smack talk today. That's trophysmack.com/underground to upgrade your fantasy smack talk. Deej, we start things not in Atlanta, but in Georgia, as the Georgia Swarm host your New York Riptide for part 2. Lyle took it personally when you picked against him last week. How do you see things going down in Duluth, Georgia on Friday night?
I think Georgia's going to win again.
I'm I'm torn on this one. Yeah, Georgia's playing really well as of late. Somehow, some way, they've like hit a stride. I'm with you. I'm gonna go Georgia Swarm in this one as well. Moving on to the middle game on Friday night. It's Las Vegas at Colorado at the Loud House. This game is like difficult as all hell to pick, simply because Las Vegas has been streaky, Colorado's been streaky and very inconsistent. Something tells me though that Las Vegas getting that win against Rochester last week, like that's arguably one of their biggest wins in franchise history to date, you know, against a team that is a playoff team right now. I think they're going to come down a little bit from that high. Colorado's at home. It's Dylan Ward's birthday this week. Shout out to the boy. I think Colorado's going to get a dub for Big Ward, and they're going to take down Vegas.
Give me Vegas on the road, big dub. I think this is one of those we got to turn it on now for Vegas. They want to take a chance at getting the playoffs in their first year, something Panther City couldn't get last year. And they're pretty much in that win or go home territory right now. And this is one they really need. And I think it also, like, it's so tight in that 3 through 6 over there, I think it is, that's tight, or 3 through 5 or whatever.
It's gained a little bit of breathing room for Panther City between 6 and 7, where the Rush and Vegas are 5 and 8. Colorado's 6 and 7, but only one game back in the loss column. But yeah, it's still pretty tight for, you know, that wild card spot.
You know what? Give me Colorado. I changed my mind. Colorado. Yeah. I think Ryan Lee's supposed to play again too. He's been in and out of the lineup, but when he has been in the lineup, he's been very good. We never know when he's going to be in it, when he's going to be out of it. But under the assumption that he and everyone else on the offense is going to play, I like Colorado.
Moving on to the nightcap on Friday, it's Calgary and San Diego in a battle for the top seed in the Western Conference. Arguably one of the more difficult games to predict, simply because both teams are on one. San Diego obviously getting screwed by the refs last week in a game that they could have won and maybe should have won against Buffalo. But I don't know about you, Deej. I think those black and gray unis and that teal floor, even though they're on the road, they're a wagon right now. They are playing the best lacrosse, I think, of almost anybody in the league, and shocking everybody week in and week out in terms of, like, I don't think anybody thought Calgary would be in this particular spot right now during the preseason, especially after Superman leaves. And then it's like, wow, we're like in this new era of Calgary Roughnecks lacrosse, and they're handling it just fine. Give me the Roughnecks.
I agree with you, but for a separate point, I think San Diego's been sliding by recently in a lot of really close games and being able to pull it out right at the end. I don't think Calgary is a team you want to be close with. And also, Calgary hasn't really been in a lot of close games this year either. So I think Calgary's really going to come out ready to play, ready to go. And they may catch San Diego slipping.
And we got to remember earlier in the year when we had one of our OTB casts, these two teams played. San Diego got out to a massive lead. And I said on the stream, Calgary's going to make this close game. They're going to try to storm back and make it close, and that's exactly what they did. So they have the ability to go on a massive run like that and make things close. And they're a much more complete team right now than they were at that point in the season. So we're both going Calgary there. Moving on to a battle for first place in the East on Saturday night in a world of possibilities up in Toronto. Shout out to the Arkells. Buffalo, Toronto. How's this one playing out for you, Deej?
Give me the boys out of the track center. Toronto went in earlier, and they beat Buffalo this year on the road, which I thought was a crazy game. I remember watching that, a very good game. It was tight. Both sides looked good in terms of offense, defense, transition. It was one of the better NLL games we've had this year. And Toronto looked so good. And they've continued to look good all year. They're almost flying under the radar in terms of like how good they are. No one's really talking about Toronto being good. And I think it's because everyone expects it. So I'm expecting them to win this game, in all honesty. They've shown that they're truly the better team, in my opinion, out east. Now it's time for the record to show it.
I'm also going with Toronto because of this. Buffalo, they're obviously at the top of the East right now at 11-3. I think the stat I saw, and I think it came from our good pal Adam Levy, Buffalo's had 4 games this year that have been 1-goal games that either were 1 goal in regulation or went to overtime. That's flying a little too close to the sun for me, especially, when you're playing these good teams. Like, they went to overtime against the Seals last week. They went to overtime against the Wings. 2 games that they easily could have and maybe should have lost. The Wings should have been able to beat them in regulation, but they were able to push it to overtime. And then, obviously, we talked about that Seals game last week. And there's been multiple 1-goal games that they have, been able to just squeak by in. You can't just squeak by the Toronto Rock right now. So give me the Rock in what I think will be, again, one of the best games of the year because of what's at stake. And it's just 2 very good lacrosse teams going toe-to-toe, and it's going to be a heavyweight fight. I think we both agree on the next game. Panther City's going to get that dub over Albany.
Yep.
So not much to break down in that one. Next one is Vancouver and Saskatchewan. In Saskatoon, Vancouver pulled an upset in this matchup the last time these teams played. Vancouver still somehow mathematically alive in the postseason picture. Saskatchewan's really fallen off, Deej. They were kind of your darling team that has, you've been impressed by them, but hasn't really been looking great for them over the past month or so, I would say. They haven't been really putting up, offensive production. If only they had somebody like Josh Courier. It's been rough for Saskatchewan lately, but how do you see this matchup going down?
This one's tough because, like you just mentioned, it's been real rough for Saskatchewan. But I don't have, any trust in the Warriors. But the Warriors have literally just upset someone last week.
Colorado. It's so tough picking games against the mid to low tier.
It is. I'll take Sask.
I don't know why, and this might fuck my picks. I'm picking Vancouver. They've done this weird shit where they beat teams that they're not supposed to beat. And I'll tell you this. One good thing about Vancouver this season, that mascot fucking rules. So I'm riding the good vibes of the mascot reveal into this one. Give me Vancouver to win somehow, some way, and I'll probably look like an absolute bozo next week when we're breaking down the matchup recaps. Moving to Sunday, double dose of NLL action on Sunday. We've got Georgia at Halifax, 1 p.m. Eastern time in Halifax. Lyle versus the Thunderbirds.
I like Halifax. That one's simple to me.
Yeah. I like them as well. They just have a home field advantage that is top 5 in the league. So
Yep.
give me the T-Birds. And then 6 o'clock Eastern time. Fighting in Philly. The Rochester Nighthawks, the Philadelphia Wings. Final home game for the Wingies this year. You already know where I'm going, Deej. Simply because of the last time these two teams played, I broke it down. New iteration of Rochester. They got to prove to me that they can get it done against the Wings. Just like I told the Wings, you got to prove to me that you can get it done against Toronto. Rochester, I was like that meme of the football player, the high school football. They had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie, in that last time those two teams played. But fan appreciation night, I think the Wings are going to go out with a bang at home and give the fans what they deserve and get a win against Rochester and keep their postseason dreams alive.
I like Philly.
The other part of that, too, in terms of gameplay-wise, Curtis Knight's on IR, so that doesn't help the Nighthawks in terms of their offense. He's been one of their better production players, along with Fieldsy and Ryan Smith this year, so that's tough. But here are your picks of the week. Week 18, powered by Trophy Smack. Deej, we're both going Georgia, Colorado, Calgary, Toronto, Panther City. I'm going Vancouver, you're going Saskatchewan. And then we both got Halifax and Philadelphia. And those are your Week 18 picks of the week, powered by Trophy Smack. From the floor to the field, more PLL free agency. Not anything too crazy in terms of, volume of signings since we last spoke to the people. It's brought to you by our good pals over at W Energy. They've been keeping us energized all March long for the NCAA tournament, and since they've gotten on board with us and have been so kind to be incredible partners for this show. Every flavor, except for the Dragonade, fully back in stock. DJ, I've got the Galaxy Grenade coming to the studio by early next week, which I'm very excited about. W also tweeted today that their next new flavor is going to be finished production at the end of this week as we record this, so that's exciting. Their iced coffee flavor is in the beginning stages, and they are hoping to start working on canned drinks that are carbonated that will be different flavors from their tub flavors, which is also very exciting. Dubby's the best in the game. They just released a new maroon red Dubby shaker, the 14-ounce size one that is on their website. And they also just released desk mouse pads, which look very, very cool. But, you guys know, Deej and I, we're always going. We're working all these jobs and everything. Deej is coaching. We got to keep our energy up. We got to keep our focus going. And W was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash. And their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor, which has been proven in clinical tests and studies to improve your brain performance by up to 143%. Plus, W contains no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin fillers, and no artificial colors, so that red 40 dye not in W whatsoever. And the best part about it, guys, it tastes delicious. You put water in your shaker. You put a scoop of the Dubby in. My little life hack is you put 4 to 5 ice cubes if you got a bigger shaker into the shaker. Shake that bad boy up, and you are good to rock and roll. It is delicious. Get on board with Dubby. Clean up your energy drink game. Dubby's going to war on big energy, just like we are. And you guys can go to dubby.gg and use code underground for 10% off any order. It's one of the most effective ways to support us. Go clean up your energy game. Deej and I are going to be having Dubby all PLL season. That's for damn sure. When we're on the road, we're going to need to be loaded on Dubby. So go to dubby.gg. Go to War on Big Energy. Use code underground for 10% off your orders. And you can use that anytime on any order. PLL free agency, Deej. Some of the moves that were made this week. Justin Gutterding doing the first PLL formulated rivalry Benedict Arnold move, where he's going from Whipsnakes to Atlas. That kind of caught everybody by surprise. I wanted to definitely get your thoughts on Gutty and Trevor being teammates once again, as they were teammates for 1 year. Well, I'd say for about a month and a half in the NLL when Gutty played for the Wings in 2019. But Gutty, 1 year deal with Atlas.
Man, listen. I don't know. The free agency has been so interesting. And with this move, it was like almost like we let Jake Carraway go to the Water Dogs, so we need to like replace him, which I didn't understand because they weren't really using him.
Mm-hmm.
But they got a new guy at helm, so everything might completely change over there too. So I've been taking everything that the Cannons and Atlas do in free agency / the draft with a complete grain of salt because they're almost going through a complete top-down change.
I've also seen Gutty run out of the midfield in his PLL career as well.
Yep.
So that is, I would say, on the table. If I had to guess, that is where Gutty will be used primarily, if I had to make a guess there with Atlas. Very fun signing, though, to add Gutty to that arsenal of shooters. You know, the former all-time NCAA goal scorer. That's pretty fun. Got to say that. I can't wait for those games, too. Maybe this, Gutty wasn't with the Whips for that long. A full season, obviously, after he got traded there in 2021. But maybe this injects a little bit of fuel into an Atlas Whipsnakes rivalry. Because now one guy has left the Whips to go to Atlas. Maybe now it starts.
Atlas has got to beat him.
Now we go. The big one. I'm here for it. We need more rivalries to pop off in the PLL. Whips Woods is iconic. We need more though. The big move of who I think you and I both agree are winning free agency so far. Put that clip out, obviously. Archer signing the boy, Drexel's own, Reed Bowering, to a 1 year deal through 2023. Reed obviously was with the Water Dogs last year but didn't make the team. I love this for the Archers. They are revolutionizing that rope unit. Obviously, Dominique retiring. They brought in Challen Rogers, who could be a part of that. Mark McNeil still unsigned. Treasy's back. And now you add Reed Bowering to the mix, who is just dominating with Vancouver in the NLL with his transition game. So I love this move for the Archers. I think it's a phenomenal way for Chris Bates to continue shaking the game up for this new look Archers team. And I've said it since the Mac O'Keefe signing was rumored. This Archers team is going to be fun. They might be our league pass team of the year, just like Chrome was last year. And look how Chrome performed. The Archers are going to be like, I can't wait to watch every game they play. They're going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I think they had a realization that their problem was offense, which sounds crazy, but like their offense couldn't produce when they really needed them to. So I think the changes that they're going through and the pieces they're picking up are really all in an effort to have a better, thorough offense all the way through, from the beginning of the game to the end. So that's really what I'll be looking at. That's what I think. That's how I'm going to assess this trade and its success is. Are they going to be able to win games now after doing this? And having the obviously the banter and everything with the trade and everything, or the guy leaving and everything with free agency, but in all realistic standpoints, they're just looking to make their offense better to win games, and I think they've done that, but that's on paper. So that's kind of just how I'm going to assess it is how well they can play offense at the end of games.
Yeah, I'm excited. This team on paper looks so much fun. Reed's teammate in the NLL is back with the Cannons. Adam Charlambides has re-signed with the Cannons through 2023. Love this move for the Cannons. I think Adam was underutilized by them in the moments that he had. I just don't think he got enough playing time, and I'm glad that Coach Holman's bringing him back to get a shot with this team. I think he fits into the way that they're restructuring and rebuilding this team to bring in a guy who's familiar with some of the players on this team, like Ryan Drenner, Lyle, Asher Nolting. It's a smart move. He'll get playing time, in my opinion, because he's a damn good player. He's super talented, and I hope he sticks with them. I think he's a good piece for that Cannons foundation.
Yeah, I mean, the offense seems to be the place to go this year. I really like this re-sign with some of the other moves they've made, bringing in guys. I think he's going to be a glue piece in terms of offensive midfield. Midfield is always a flow of guys. You kind of have your one guy in the midfield that you trigger things with and you like to use in every line, but the rest are kind of fill guys that really provide a lot of extra buffer. Really, take advantage of the open shots they get, dodge on the shorty, and get free hands off the shorty. So that's kind of just his role now. I don't think he knows it yet, but I think that's kind of where he's going to be. But I think that's a great role for him. I think he can really take advantage of getting some shorty matchups, really take advantage of finding some open space to get a wide open step down. That kind of stuff is going to fit and play right into his hands and his play style. So I think him coming back was the best option for him. And I'm just hoping to see him find his stride and his role in the offense very quickly.
And I think it helped that Ryan Tierney went to the Redwoods. That opened up that opportunity for Adam to come back. So love that move for them. And then I love this move for the Woods. Nat said he wasn't done. Jack Kelly has re-signed with the Redwoods, according to a report from the boy Chris Rosie, through 2023, leaving just one free agent goalie left out on the market. Nick Morocco still floating around out there. But Jack Kelly being back with the Redwoods just made too much sense. Kind of was a foregone conclusion, I think, in both of our opinions. Even though the Nick Morocco thing was like floated out there, I think there was more fan theory than anything else. Jack Kelly's a leader in that Redwoods locker room. He's respected, and I don't think they were going to let him go anywhere else, and I'm glad he's back because as much as we criticize Timmy's, 5-hole flaw, I think those two being together is very important for this Redwoods team. So I love that Jack's back.
Yeah, I like it a lot. They vibe with each other well. They have different strengths that point out the weaknesses of each other. They work with each other very well. They're both very smart. and provide almost an extra coach on the sidelines. But more importantly, it's that vibe, right? Defenders vibe differently with each other than they do with their midfielders. You know what I'm saying? Attackmen vibe differently together than they do with other players, and goalies are the same. Goalies only vibe with other goalies. That's just how it is because they're different. And Jack and Tim seem to really get each other. So regardless of who's starting, having that guy that gets you and that guy that's there to support you and is going to hype you up but also be there to help you and let you know how you can get better is, I think, the biggest piece in this and what they really take out of that.
Yeah, I love it. It's a smart move, and that's what we've gotten so far. Because you guys already know we're recording this on Tuesday, so if anything else breaks, sorry about it. Teach College Lacrosse Week 8, a recap rundown for the people. It's brought to you by the boys on your head, Kenwood Beer. I'm actually meeting up with the Kenny boys Wednesday to chat with them. They're the best in the game, and they are Philadelphia's #1 light beer. They are the best in the game. You don't want to go and support, these big corporate brands and everything. You want to go and support the local guys. They're a group of guys who just enjoy drinking beer and hanging out with their friends. They like local dive bars. They like fine dining. They like Irish pubs. They like gastro pubs. They like going places with a bar. They have the beer industry experience in sales and marketing, and even more important, service industry experience behind the bar. They may not spend every day in the brew house, but they can guarantee that they're able to talk about beer as well as anyone out there on the street selling it. Kenwood Beer, it is 4.1% ABV, 127 calories, 10 grams of carbs, light body, light calories, plenty of flavor, the best light beer on the planet. And you guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use that all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You can get it at your local liquor store in Philadelphia. And I've been screwing this up on this portion of the ad read, Deej. It is not Home Goods where you get Kenwood Beer. It's Whole Foods where you get Kenwood Beer. Your local Whole Foods in eastern Pennsylvania, you can get Kenwood Beer. So go check that out as well. KenwoodBeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, break it down from what happened in the week of college lacrosse.
So last week we're going to start diving into the Ivy League. Dartmouth getting the first Ivy League win in a while, getting Harvard 10-9 in overtime. Georgetown back? ? 4 in a row now after beating Lehigh 17-15. Obviously, people aren't really believing it because they've had a very tough year, and I kind of agree with that. Maryland over Penn State, 13-10. I kind of saw that coming. Maryland has looked very good most of the year, but Penn State has looked extremely good. And 13-10 is no slouch, in my opinion, against a team this caliber of Maryland. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Penn State make a run in the playoff this year. Michigan dropped to Johns Hopkins 15-11, but I'll say one of the more electric games of the weekend. It was played at night. It was very close. At one point, this game was 11-10 with like 4 minutes left, something like that. So Michigan definitely put up a fight and was there, had the lead at points. This was a battle. It wasn't a normal Johns Hopkins Michigan game. North Carolina absolutely ran through the Friars of Providence, 25-8. Absolutely no competition. Virginia ousting and dropping #1 Irish Notre Dame, giving them a short-lived week at the top of the totem pole, 15-10. Princeton, lo and behold, is far separating themselves from the rest of the Ivy League. I think Cornell will be the only other ones to give them a run for their money, but they took Yale through the gutter at 23-10. Duke only winning 12-9 against St. Joe, but didn't matter because Duke looked good doing it. And I'm strictly talking about their black helmets, which had immaculate detail and just, I think it was the first time we saw a perfect 10 out of Diggs. That wasn't a Hopkins helmet. So
That was my take of the week
no,
that I had to bring up at the top of the show. Duke's
yeah.
helmets were beautiful. Shout out to Jerry. Those were – that also sparked my thought process of the OTB, like, Hall of Fame. Those helmets are, like, Hall of Fame worthy. Like, my jaw literally did one of these when I saw the chapels on that helmet. They were flawless. Shout out to Duke.
Fantastic job.
Like, make those permanent. Make those permanent helmets. That's how good they are. Like, even though they are a special occasion, I would assume, make those the permanent lids. Because, my God, they were beautiful. I couldn't stop looking at them. I had that open on my phone for a clean 5 minutes, just like zooming in and looking at all the details and being like, this is art. It was Bob Ross took his paintbrush and beat the devil out of it.
I beat the devil out of it. That is fantastic. But no, seriously, those are some of the best helmets I've ever seen at any level of lacrosse. So kudos, Duke. Fantastic job. Jumping back into this, UMass taking down Brown at 10-9. Utah 24-11 over Mercy. Bryant 20-4 over UMass. There were a lot of blowouts this weekend, which I found very weird, but that kind of runs in this kind of territory early season when conference is just now starting / teams are finishing up non-conference play. Cornell over Penn 18-12, but Penn has looked good too. They've pushed a lot of games to 1-goal games, a lot of games to overtime, and Sam Hanley is just fantastic while doing it. Ohio State over Rutgers, they're finally back in the win column. I just want to say Ohio State looked very, 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 very talented while doing so. Very poised. Defense looked good. Bobby Van Buren is insane. Giving up 0 points to Ross Scott is crazy. Crazy. Kid's very good. But Bobby Van Buren absolutely shutting him down. So wouldn't be surprised to see Ohio State kind of use this and crutch off of this and push with some momentum. That's what they do in almost every sport. So if he makes his way to my dinner table, I might ask to see a drop of Nestle's chocolate syrup get dropped in there.
No free ads.
0 free ads. Nova actually ended up losing to Brown, even though they don't have the score posted quite yet. That was on Monday, and then today we had. Is there a fair share? No, yeah, I talked about that. There was nothing really important going on there. This weekend, though, we get some ball. Jacksonville, Utah will be a great game. A great game. I really like that game. Utah has been playing with fire this year, like they have something to prove. Jacksonville's always felt that way. They've been in some electric games this year. Utah has really made a statement about themselves. So that's going to end up being a huge game for whoever does come out victorious in that. Duke and Virginia needs absolutely no explanation, no introduction. I'm going to let them do them come Friday.
That Utah-Jacksonville matchup is the quintessential definition of, like, you know, when, like, people talk about, like, teams that feel like they, like, have never played each other.
Mm-hmm.
When you just hear Utah and Jacksonville, they sound like teams that live on different planets.
Yes. And they're going to come together and play a sport that really shouldn't be a hotbed in either position or either state they live in, but
it's so fun. Like, that sounds like a meeting of the minds that should potentially never happen and will break the space-time continuum.
Yep. That's probably exactly what's going to happen. That's probably exactly what's going to happen. Denver plays Georgetown this weekend. That's Saturday for us. Rutgers and Johns Hopkins. That one's going to be really good. Michigan going down to Maryland. If they can pull that one out, I might jump through literal hoops. I don't know. I'll literally lose it. Yale and Penn. I don't know how I feel about this, but for some reason I'm getting a overtime Sam Hanley goal in this. It really excited to see Princeton run through Brown. I don't know why, but I've been getting a very good sense in watching Brown lose. Feels good. I should never feel that way about any team losing, but here we are. Notre Dame and Syracuse, like I mentioned earlier, I should be at this game. So if you see the boy, say what's up. That one's probably going to be game of the week, though, because, I mean, it's a senior day. Joey Spallina and the rest of Syracuse playing against the Cow brothers and the rest of Notre Dame. Need I say more? And then Ohio State, Penn State going to wrap it up on Sunday in terms of the weekend. They're the only game we really have. Tuesday, nothing good. BU plays Yale. But St. Joe, anytime St. Joe, it's fun. Anytime St. Joe steps out in the field, it's fun. They play with a lot of electricity, and they have a weird color scheme that just works. The black and the burgundy just works. It looks good, and it shines at all the right times. So, yeah, that's going to wrap up the week. Friday and Saturday are really the days we're looking for college lacrosse this week. And both days, the action should roll right into the good stuff, the pro NLL box stuff. Same thing on Sunday, I believe. Actually, I believe that Penn State game's kind of early, and it's going to roll into our early-ish games on Sunday.
Last thing I wanted to bring up, too, because it made the rounds on Twitter on Sunday. Wanted to get your thoughts on Sam Hanley. You just brought him up. Potentially leaving the door open to playing another year collegiately at another school next year.
Hey, I don't care what he does. He's probably still going to get drafted this year, and then the team will hold his rights, and we'll fucking deal with all that when we deal with it. But for now, I mean, I think he should just enjoy the year he has at Penn. Like that's my true advice, Sam. I don't think you are listening, but if you do happen to be, my only true advice on that is to just enjoy this year for what it is. You've already spent 3 years with these teammates. Obviously not all of them, but some of them. You spent 2 years, 1 year, et cetera, et cetera. You've put in all this work. You've looked good while doing it. You have a successful career for the most part while you're there. And you're putting together I shouldn't even say a pretty good, you're putting together a great campaign to start your senior year. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the train rides, the bus rides, the plane rides, whatever it is that y'all take for transportation in the Ivy League. Have fun with your teammates. Enjoy the practices. Enjoy the runs, the workout, all of it. Because when it's done, it's done. Nothing amounts to high school sports. College doesn't feel the same as high school, but the pros don't feel the same as college. So it's never the same when you leave, so just cherish it while you have it. That's really what I can say about that. But if he goes back, I don't care. I'll watch him again in college and enjoy it. If he doesn't, I'll see him in person one day as he's dressing up in the PLL.
Yeah, and we'll discuss that once it's either officially happening or we'll speculate more on it as the PLL draft gets closer too, because obviously, we're doing that big draft talk on this show like we do every year, but want to get your initial thoughts. Great words there. Great words of advice from Swami Deej.
I mean, that was total player. That was total player, like looking back at certain things, certain times. Understanding I didn't cherish every moment. There were practices I definitely didn't cherish. It's just like, man, what I wouldn't do to go back in the middle of January, freezing my ass off in a sweatsuit, in cleats, fully padded outside in Michigan winter, picking up orange ground balls in white snow. Absolutely, I would. Absolutely, I would. So I just don't want anybody else to feel that way when they have the opportunity to actually enjoy it for what it is.
Love it, bro. Love it. We'll be back next week breaking down everything from the NLL, more PLL free agency, working on some scheduling of guests that we teased last week. We forgot to tease who the other person was at the end of the show last week, but if you listen to the end of this show, Jesse King, the boy, is soon to be first-time guest on the Outside the Box podcast as well. Make sure you guys are following us at OTB LaxPod, Twitter and Instagram, to keep up to date with everything. You'll get guest announcements immediately over there. And, of course, that's where we just post all of our fun, interactive content. It's on social media at OTB LaxPod. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat to make sure you know if he's going to be at the game on Saturday or not. Follow me on Twitter. I won't be at a single game until Sunday, but you can follow along with my game day tweets on Sunday at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Leave a 5-star review. It really does help the show, guys. We don't just say it every week to say it, to waste our breath, to kill time. It really does help. So go subscribe. Share the podcast with your friends. We want more people joining OTB Nation. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. It's where you get full video episodes of OTB and every podcast on our network. You get live streams. You get original content, interviews, shorts, clips, all that good stuff goes out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Go get your merch as well, phiapparel.co. Use code Underground, 10% off any and all merch. Shout out to them for being the best in the game. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, April 8th, I know lacrosse and baseball fans don't always mix, but if you're in the Philly area, come to our live tailgate podcast event, April 8th, Jetro Lot, 1 o'clock p.m. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a ton of fun. The Kenny boys will be there. We're going to have coolers full of Kennys. And it's going to be a grand old time. So come on out to our live tailgate podcast. But this has been episode number 268 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked. And, of course, viewable on YouTube. Subscribe. Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. Till next week, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.